Did Justin Fields prove he should be the Bears quarterback of the future?
No. No, how can we say he's proven that? He has 30 starts and he's got a grand total of 6 wins. He's proven nothing. Since he's come into the league, you're talking about a guy that's 30th in QBR. The only current quarterbacks that he's ahead of, Baker Mayfield, Zach Wilson, and Bryce Young. So no, Justin Fields hasn't proven anything. We do know that Justin Fields has a lot of talent. He has a lot of potential. But as my former head coach Bill Parcells used to say, potential just means you haven't done it yet. And what I mean by not having done it yet with Justin Fields is being able to put together the level of consistency that it takes to give your team an opportunity to win week in, week out. Listen, we all understand that it hasn't been an ideal situation in Chicago. But the reason why teams draft quarterbacks so high is because they help the team overcome things that are deficiencies, things that might not necessarily be great. That's what we see from the great quarterbacks eventually. With Justin Fields, it still feels like we're asking the question, can he be a franchise quarterback? If you have to keep asking the question, eventually we're going to land on the answer being no. And I'm already there when it comes to Justin Fields. When you look at the opportunity cost associated with passing on quarterbacks in this year's draft, you passed on C.J. Stroud, you passed on Anthony Richardson. The prospects of the Chicago Bears with draft capital in the top 10 next year, passing on next year's class that features Caleb Williams and Drake May, I just don't know that Justin Fields can do enough for the remainder of the season where the Bears can justify making that decision to commit to him yet again and pass on all the other quarterbacks in next year's draft class.
You were supposed to pass on Anthony Richardson. You were supposed to pass on C.J. Stroud. Justin Fields was coming off of a year where he rushed for nearly 1,000 yards. Justin Fields was coming off of a year where we saw the talent as a passer, if not the production that you felt like you needed. We also knew that Justin Fields wasn't surrounded by the sort of players that allows quarterbacks to show their skill set. Justin Fields isn't in a situation like Brock Purdy's in San Francisco where a 5-yard pass, where a swing pass behind the line of scrimmage, where a 15-yard pass can turn into more yak than Marcus Spears and Shannon Sharp consume in a week. That's not the situation he's in. It's not the same situation that you're in if you're the Miami Dolphins with this explosive running game, with this creative coach and Mike McDaniel that puts your team in situations where if you go through your progressions correctly, you can count that everybody moves as your eyes moves. The plays work out as your plays are supposed to work out. And your guy that you said that's going to be open the entire week will be open so you can be that quick and getting the football out of your hands. Justin Fields has been in a different situation. Now, here's why I actually agree with what Chris is saying. Justin Fields can be a franchise quarterback, has the talent to be a franchise quarterback. I believe he's a franchise quarterback. That franchise just may not be the Chicago Bears. If the Chicago Bears are looking at this draft, looking at the way that they can build around the assets they already have, the assets they can acquire if Justin Fields is moved, you say to yourself, okay, we have a DJ Moore. Let's work on getting his contract done. We can get a Marvin Harrison Jr. More importantly, if we can get Caleb Williams, I don't believe this conversation extends to Drake May yet. If we can get Caleb Williams is a transcendent talent at the position. The dude is different. I've got to see it in person. He literally puts himself in adverse situations purposely just so he can have some fun and not be so dang bored playing. If that's the route you want to go if you're Ryan Poles, that makes sense to me. But to say that Justin Fields can't be a franchise quarterback, I'm not ready to land on no. Are we still asking that question? Absolutely. And I think his surrounding cast, his supporting cast, his coaching staff is also a part of that, but he has to elevate his individual play. But what I do agree with is it may not be for the Chicago Bears, and that's the decision that Ryan Poles and that organization will be tasked with for the rest of the season.
Well, I don't disagree with any of that, and I certainly don't agree that Justin Fields has proven he's the Bears quarterback of the future. What I would ask this is, what if last night continues? Let's pay attention to something here. First 3 games, Field had thrown what's classified as bad throws or, poor throws 17 different times in the first 3 games. Hasn't done it in the last 2. Okay, I already throw out the perfect passer rating since he's connecting with DJ Moore. They're clearly developing a level of symmetry. RC, you just brought up how they may have to pay DJ Moore. They're looking to pay DJ Moore. Well, if you've developed this level of synergy with a guy of his caliber, as Justin Field apparently has, what do you do then? Because you have a receiver that's, basically maturated to working with this particular quarterback. Together, they're effective. Offensively, their level of play has elevated exponentially. And as a result, they become more successful. What are we going to do then? I'm saying that I don't think Justin Fields has proven anything. But since we all knew that he wasn't really the problem in Chicago over these previous 14 games where they couldn't win a damn game in almost a full calendar year, and they lost 9 straight home games. And we were talking about the coach, and we were talking about the organization, we were talking about the absence of personnel. We looked at last year and how he didn't really have any receivers to go to, et cetera, et cetera. Well, now that you do have a receiver and y'all are balling together, if you continue to ball together and you start being more proficient and effective offensively, where do we go then? It is a legitimate question for contemplation in the weeks to come.
Is this a must-win for the Cowboys?
Well, me personally, I think it is from, in all seriousness, just from a confidence perspective. Now, it can work in reverse, and even though I joke around when I say this, I actually mean it. The more expectations are heaped on the shoulders of the Dallas Cowboys, the more they fail to show up, meaning Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy specifically. But in the same breath, if you were to lose this game, expectations may dwindle. And as a result, the Dallas Cowboys could ultimately rise to the occasion and end up upending somebody come playoff time, which I sincerely doubt will happen. I'm just of the mindset that watching them this year, in all seriousness, looking at their efficiency or lack thereof in the red zone, going from 71% last year efficiency to 37% this year, scoring 29-plus points per game last year, but getting rid of your offensive coordinator, taking the ball out of Dak Prescott's hands because we want to be a bit judicious and we want to spread the ball around. We want to run the football more. We want to milk the clock more. We want to spell for our defense more. To me, what they're negating and they're not paying enough attention to is that in the end, the Dallas Cowboys have had a roster that's capable of beating most of the teams in the National Football League. The problem hasn't been an absence of talent. The problem has been absence of elevated level of play when the moments call for it, particularly by their quarterback. And so when I look at it from that perspective, it's going to come down to Dak Prescott and sort of shielding him from being in those moments. I don't think it's something that's going to help him down the pike. And when I look at Mike McCarthy, I think more attention needs to be brought his way because, as Ryan Clark highlighted in hour number 1, along with Bart Scott, you had the number 1 offense in the red zone last year. You were highly efficient. You were scoring more than 29 points a game. And you got rid of your offensive coordinator. And you said, I want to be the dude that calls those plays. I want to have this on my shoulders. Well, it's on Mike McCarthy just as much, if not more, than Dak Prescott. So I think all of those things contribute to really, really pushing it up as being a must-win situation, because if that's not the case, we're all going to look at the Dallas Cowboys with a raised eyebrow, but not collectively as a team. We're going to look at Dak Prescott, and we're going to look at Mike McCarthy.
I think this is about the collective team, and the problem that we have is outside of locker rooms, outside of these organizations, we do heap too much praise on quarterbacks, and I also believe sometimes too much criticism. Dak Prescott has played well in the regular season against the San Francisco 49ers, and you talk about expectations, not rising to expectations, or the potential for those expectations to heap too much pressure on the Dallas Cowboys and they not be able to meet them. That's not what we're getting to this time. I believe most people think that the San Francisco 49ers at this point have a more talented roster than the Dallas Cowboys, especially with the loss of Trayvon Diggs on the outside. Deebo Samuel, although slightly banged up, is opposite Brandon Ayuk. George Kittle at the tight end position. Christian McCaffrey, the best running back in football, in my opinion, right now, and playing at an extremely high level with the play caller and Kyle Shanahan that is second to the entire league. This is the game, to me, where the Dallas Cowboys are the underdog. And the Dallas Cowboys have to go into this game believing they're the underdog. And so to me, it's not Mike McCarthy, protect Dak Prescott. It's me, let Mike McCarthy, set Dak Prescott free. Set him free of everything. Set him free of any shackles that say we're not going to push the football down the field. Any shackles or any handcuffs that says we have to make sure you don't turn it over. Why not? What is there to lose? right? There is no way to try to think about winning this game as for what it means for winning this game. Winning this game only adds to what it means for your opportunity to win a championship. And anything short of that for the Dallas Cowboys this year is a failure. It's a failure for Jerry Jones. It's a failure for Mike McCarthy. It's a failure for Dak Prescott. So why are we playing around with it? Brock Purdy gets to be that. Brock Purdy gets to throw the ball 5, 10, 15 yards down the field and allow everybody else to do what they have to do. He is truly Mr. Irrelevant. The dude still got roommates. Dak Prescott ain't got roommates. Dak Prescott got a mansion, and he got to go out and play ball.